Since the dawn of humanity, hunters have shared stories around the campfire. Fast forward to the 21st century, and there's no big game left on these savannas in northeast Nigeria. The artillery fire exchange between Boko Haram insurgents and the Nigerian military has scared the animals away. So now these hunters track and capture human beings. They hunt down Boko Haram fighters. With little or no help from the authorities, hunters rely on locally made weapons. They are feared for their superior tracking skills and their belief in the supernatural. Aisha Bakari Gombe is Queen Hunter, a title given to her for her bravery on the battlefield. Aisha and her band of hunter brothers defend their communities from terror. Today, they are responding to a sighting of Boko Haram fighters in this area. The 75-year-old Jimeta will be leading the charge. He has 30 years' experience in tracking and capturing bandits. Around 60 hunters have volunteered for this mission. The convoy of dilapidated vehicles pushes deeper into the Sambisa forest, a sacred place for hunters. Hunters believe this herbal stimulant deflects bullets. Under the influence, the hunt begins. The village appears to be abandoned, but Aisha isn't taking any chances. Some villagers are spotted fleeing at a sprint. The hunters make chase.
Ba kashe shi, ta ji an ce a kashe babanta ba dole ta kama kuka ba. Ki shiru ba za ka kashe shi. Wallahi ba rashin gaskiya ba ne. Mutanen da muka tsare su a nan an yi musu magana ne kare shi kana. Ya dawo ne, ke ki shiru ba kashe shi za a yi ba.
The villagers caught running away have been rounded up. The hunters check to see if they have been branded. Boko Haram fighters usually have a tattoo with Arabic writing.
Nigerian security.
Problem now.
Mutum biyu kawai su bi shi sauran ku tsaya dawo mai bakin mutum biyu kawai su
The three suspects don't have tattoos, so the hunters release them. The search for Boko Haram fighters continues. Boko Haram launch raids on towns and villages from their hideouts in the forests and mountains of this region. Thousands of people have been abducted and enslaved. Homes lie in ruin and families remain torn apart. Boko Haram has shattered the peace of these once harmonious communities. When insurgents took over the key market town of Mubi in 2014, Aisha's immediate reaction was to go and rescue her brother and his family who lived there. Aisha's brother Murtala has since returned home. But before Boko Haram were driven out of Mubi by the hunters and soldiers, they burned down the post office where Murtala used to work.
Wallahi. Wallahi. Yanzu ka yi ba gaba daya ka fasa shi ba.
Yanzu kan son samu gaba daya a fasa.
Don yanzu ko an yi wannan wuta riga cinye shi.
Wuta riga ya ci karfin ginin ne. So dole ne sai dai a rusa gaba daya sake gini sabo. Shi ne muke jira yanzu daga gwamnati.
Gaskiya sun yi barna mutane.
Sun yi barna kama an yi barna.
Ina ganin a yan ta'adda ma su ne number one a duniya. Allah.
As people in Mubi go about their daily business, the scars of the insurgency are still very visible. Banks remain abandoned with holes blasted in the walls where cash machines and safes were hauled away in broad daylight by Boko Haram fighters who occupied this town for 6 weeks. The insurgents have been chased out of major towns, but now they send suicide bombers to hit soft targets. The vast majority of suicide bombers are girls, some as young as 5 years old. They are kidnapped, brainwashed, and then sent out to kill and be killed. Boys are also targeted and forced to carry out atrocities. And although Boko Haram claim to be fighting an Islamic insurgency, they have sent suicide bombers into crowded mosques. No one and nowhere is safe, not even devout Muslims. The inability of the security services to defeat Boko Haram led local elites to pay for hunters and vigilantes to protect the population. The insurgency sent shockwaves through the American University of Nigeria's campus that sits on the fringes of territories once held by Boko Haram.
People have lost confidence in the military for two reasons. One, because they have failed substantially in many areas, and there was a general feeling that the government was not serious. So was not serious in terms of providing the necessary tools to the military to prosecute the war. And as a result of that, many of them are retreating from troubled areas. So when they are told to go to a particular area, they say, how could we go? We only have guns. Guns are physical, could be seen, but there are no bullets to drive these guns, so why should we go? So people have had this story, and the stories have resonated time and again, so they felt that they could no longer rely on the military. So what readily comes to mind, or came to mind at that time, was the hunters, because they are close to them, they're part of them, and they knew what they could do.
Back at home, Aisha prepares for a big day. Her gallantry on the battlefield has made her a local celebrity. This morning, she's appearing on a popular breakfast TV programme to talk about the security situation.
A very good morning to you.
Yes, as a build-up to the discussion on security, we're being joined right about now by the Saronian Yaki, that is of the Nigerian Hunters Association. Her name is Aisha Bakari, and she's been a woman that has been very active in the forefront. She has led hundreds of hunters to the battlefront. But incidentally, she's a woman and very active at doing what she knows how to do best. Aisha, Sanu de Zwako. And interesting, I like the outfit this morning.
Yeah. Manufansa cewa kayan da kika sa yau din nan ya burge shi.
Dr. Lionel, let me just get your perspective. The hunters, how would you describe their role so far in the fight against insurgency?
Wow. The hunters are one of the reasons why we have been able to put the pressure on Boko Haram. They're the ones they're helping the military and helping the security forces in doing what they do best, which is hunting, searching, fighting, protecting. And whether or not they're out there on the battlefield, they're still in the communities protecting the people of the community. And I personally don't believe that they get enough credit for the things that they do.
Kwarai da gaske mutane ba wai za su faɗa ba, sun faɗa sun kuma faɗa. Amma abin da ya sa idan har mutum ya ga yanda aka wulakanta 'yan adam, aka wulakanta dukiyan al'umma, ba mace ba ko yaro karami ne, zuciyan shi ba zai bashi ma ya zauna ba. Dole ne ya fusata ya shiga yaƙi don ya sama wa ƙasansa da al'ummansa zaman lafiya.
I admire your courage, and interestingly, she's married. Kina da mai gida ko?
Ina da shi.
Da yara?
To yaran ne Allah bai kawo tuka.
Okay. Incidentally, she's married and she's this bold.
Is your husband afraid of you?
Kin ga abin da ya tambaya, nace mai gidanki yana tsoron ki.
Okay.
He should be.
And Aisha, thank you very much, Mungode, for sharing your story with us.
Aisha's husband has just returned from work at the Emir's palace, where he first met Aisha in 2016 when she was crowned Queen Hunter. It was love at first sight for Mohamedou.
Mi volda be mako lallai nin fu sen ne madi gogoro ma so sen mi dari boddum be git be ko jiram so sai be satu ko benda so sai kafin ham yotta mo min volda ma mi de yeli bo Allah bedda bo bura yake ko woni jonta mi de yeli bo Allah jangita mo bura yake ko woni jonta ngam jangtu ma ko do kanyum jangtu ngam min bamtugo daraja ma ko kanyum daraja min bo be deta bamtugo ngam mi gorko ma ko.
Aisha may be happily married at last, but her private life was complicated for many years.
Aure na fari da dalilin da ya sa ya mutu, kin san mu a al'adunmu na nan mafi akasari haifuwa yana ɗaya daga cikin abun da yake matsa mutane a rayuwar aure. Lallai da haka ne, idan na kasance cikin mata 'yan uwana na ga kowa yana dan wasa da ɗansa da haka, ina sha'awan abun yana dan matsa mini, har wani lokaci na kan shiga ɗaki in dan yi kuka, amma da yake lokacin akwai yaranta. Amma yanzu da na girma na fahimci lallai haifuwa idan Allah ya kawo shi, in ina da rabo ba zan mutu da shi ba, zan haife shi, to sai na daina sashi a zuciyana, na ci gaba da abun da yake gabana kawai. Gaskiya idan suka ɗauki yara suka tafi da shi ko mata, raina baya yin daɗi, don a waɗannan lokutan gaskiya ina samun matsala sosai, sai in ji kaman rayuwa na ma dai ya ɗan canja mini haka saboda tashin hankalin yaran nan da aka tafi da su. Amma kuma idan samuwa muka yi, muka kwato su, muka ɗauko su, muka dawo da su, ni da in a sona ne ina so ma a bar mini yaran ne in zauna da su, haka nake jin kwaɗayi a raina, sai dai gwamnati ba za ta yadda bane don ba ta kuɗi.
Ironically, the cultural stigma of not being able to have children is what has driven Aisha to war.
A woman of this caliber, a Muslim woman, in this neighborhood, in uniform, you know, who is doing this much work at this tough terrain, is really something to watch, or somebody to watch. We really give kudos to her for what she has done, and she has really gone out there to become an exemplary model to the society, to the community. People talk a lot about her because it's very uncommon. Females are very low in number in paramilitary, in the military, but northern Muslim females are far, far lower. And Aisha Bakari Gombe happens to find herself in this small northern Muslim woman, you know, in this making this effort. So we really salute her courage. We salute her professionalism. We salute the spirit, and we encourage as a young woman to really get into that, because there is actually no barrier, you know, in terms of what kind of job you do, or how you do it, or where you do it. Only that if you can maintain your chastity, you could do it decently, you could respect the rules of natural justice and the conventions of a responsible society, then you could go ahead and do it. Sometimes even the ladies or the female do it even better than the men. So she is really a model that we so much love, cherish, and adore.
A group of huntresses have come to visit Aisha. Bula Yaga, a sadistic Boko Haram commander, is the topic of conversation.
Allah kuma muke roƙo ya gama mu da shi, mu kamo shi da hannu, mu kwantar da shi, mu matan mu yanka shi, wallahi mazan suna tsaye, mu ɗauko shi mu dawo duniya da namansa da kwakwalwan kansa, kowa ya zo ya gani. Shi ne burinmu, mu ma mu rama abin da ya yi. Akwai inda muke kai ba za mu fada ba, in muka fada ya gudu fa. Ba za mu fada ba. Akwai ni kam a watan 11 mun je mun yi arangama da shi. Watan 11 da yaransa har da shi.
The hunters' role in the fight against Boko Haram and the potential risk they pose as armed militias has set alarm bells ringing in the capital, Abuja. Aliyu Bega was a member of parliament when the insurgency started in 2009. Now he's a security advisor to the current government.
Bringing in informal actors into a very formal regimented space like the military or the defense forces, it is a means to an end, not an end on its own. So there needs to be a proper legal framework, proper legislative framework, proper concept of operations, and so on and so forth. I agree the time, there wasn't enough time for that to be instituted properly. But even when I was in Parliament, I kicked against the formulation of civilian JTF because we're creating another problem for another day. And this is the problem that we have. We don't try to solve the root causes of the problem. We only try to remedy the symptoms, always. When there's something, we either throw money at it or we do some ad hoc arrangement to try to solve a problem whose seeds were planted 60, 70, 80 years ago. So I don't agree with the usage of informal actors. I do not agree, no matter how valuable they are, without the proper legislative backing, without a proper structure put in place. At the end of the day, they end up being victims on both sides, or we become their victims later in life.
Aisha's fame extends to social media. She's decided to get to grips with new technologies. But Manga, a hunter and a university student, is here to teach her.
Email. Saying what I said, internet access. That notification. I don't worry for a request. 99 for a request. Fat me over I.
Fat me.
Confirm.
Bamanga suspects that some of the requests could be from Boko Haram members or their sympathisers.
No workplace to show, no relationship info. Wala ayin da phrase mako. So the ma anjimo so ankodon.
From virtual problems to actual ones, Umar brings news from their commander that they must prepare to go on a new mission.
Maganan kayan aiki kan ni da ka gani ina zaune a nan yanzu haka ba barudu a gidan nan ba artashi ko kwaya daya ga tafiya kuma yana nan tafiya kuma dole za a tafi kwari da baka kuma ba abin da za a je a ce za a yi aiki da shi a wancan gurin bane bare a ce wuka ko adda yawa tunda ba mutum ne wanda in ka je za ka cafke shi ne kuyi ko kuwa jiki da jiki bare ka ce za ka yi aiki da wuka wannan aikin ya fi karfin wuka ko adda.
Wane lokaci ne so da nan in kira shi in gaya masa garan da kika ce za a zo kike da lokaci kenan saboda kin ga duk abin da za a yi ke matan aure to kuma abin da yasa komanda yake ta komai sai ya tambaye ki ba kamanda ba
amma ana gama auren nan jibi ne aure zai kare jibi ko da bai kare ba in an riga an daura aure zan iya barin sauran abun da yake gaban mu lallaba mu tafi.
Aisha's niece is getting married. It's a high society wedding.
Ina masu fara da yan boko har ana nuna mace na addan kan baba min ya ita ne
ni ka yanzu da akwai lokacin masan zaune da keki ta ban gida
Farida, moto in yazo ba za a jira kowaye ba.
Aisha is the only girl among 7 siblings. She grew up wanting to wear the same clothes and play with the same toys as her brothers. Aisha's tomboy traits led her father to take her hunting. He soon realised that she was better than her brothers. She openly admits to preferring male company, even as an adult in this conservatively Islamic society. Although these women appreciate what Aisha is doing to protect them, she remains at odds with the cultural norms. With 2 failed marriages behind her and not being able to have children makes Aisha somewhat of a pariah. Strong, independent women are few and far between in northern Nigeria. A new day and a new mission. Aisha has selected more hunters than she has been asked to by her commander. Some of these brave men and women will be left behind. Aisha's first port of call is to an imam for his blessing.
Thank you.
Her second port of call is to meet up with the bulk of the 130 or so hunters who will go on the mission. It's among these young male hunters who Aisha leads that she is most at ease. Over 2 million people have been driven from their homes by Boko Haram. This refugee camp will be a base for the hunters over the next couple of days. Aisha gathers intelligence from the refugees about recent Boko Haram attacks.
Salamu alaikum. Kuma nan kuke ne? Diga wani gari kuka zo? Daga? Dagu? Dukanku? To me dalilin zuwan ku nan ne? Ba tsoro a ciki ku yi bayani abinda take dauka kenan shine ya kawo mu ita ba ta jin Hausa shi yasa nake tambayan ku.
Aisha is led to a woman with a very dark story.
Kuma na ji kaman Boko Haram sun dauke ki. Ke da waye suka dauke ki? Ina yaran suke? Su nawa ne yaran? Yanzu kin samu kin dawo nan yaya kika dawo?
Mu je daki. Tana yi barci. Mu dauka wannan.
Shi bula ya gadin yana barci? Kika dauki daya bayan kika dauki daya a kafadanki. Sai kika bar sauran.
Na bar sauran. Aka fi kuma ana biyu.
Rather than stay here, waiting for the military to come to their aid, the refugees have asked for the hunters' help.
16 gaba daya, wanda yanzu ba su a gida ko daya. An ibi mutane mu akalla ya fi 1000 yanzu suna hannun Boko Haram. Ba yanda za mu iya mu tankare su mu kwaci waɗannan mutane. Mun sani nama da jini akwai gazawa amma ba mu da karfin mun yi ta kukawa gwamnati. Ba mu ga mafaka ko kuwa hanya wale mu iya mu wale sauran dukiyar mu ba. Ba kuma sun bar mu da azaba din mu ci gaba da noma yadda muna noma mu samu abinci ba. Mun zo dab ga damuna. Mun duba abun da kuma muka ji aikin hannunka da kake yi domin ka tallafa ka taimaka ma mutane. Muka ce yaya za mu yi sai muka zo na muka yi haɗin kai. Kauyuka 16 din nan kowa ya kawo toro sule muka ce ba mu da kuɗin da za mu je mu roki shi baba Bukar.
Although money has been exchanged, it is not enough to buy the amount of ammunition that is needed for the mission. There are just 3 cartridges per person. Fear sets in as the prospect of facing Boko Haram without ammunition may be the fate of some of these hunters. Aisha is given 6 cartridges because she is a commander. It is still not enough. So the hunters must make their own ammunition. Aisha oversees the process. She knows which plants are needed to make explosive material. It is a long and labour-intensive process, and the gunpowder is not guaranteed to ignite. It all depends on the chemical composition of the mixture. But no one here has weighing scales. The powder must be mixed with charcoal, then dried. Now for the moment of truth. It ignites. AAA batteries are also part of the hunter's armoury. Together with the gunpowder, they make for a deadly combination. The supernatural is central to the hunter's belief system. Charms are worn to help them transform into animals, so they and Boko Haram believe. Smoking and bathing in the smoke of herbs is thought to ward off evil spirits. The vast majority of these hunters combine their traditional beliefs with Islam. The villagers they are here to help happen to be Christians. A ram is sacrificed and an oath is taken.
Ba ma so munafiki, ba na so azalimi, ba ma so Boko Haram. Duk wanda ya boye kuma karshen sa zai fito fili, duk yanda ya boye wannan Bible da Qur'ani za su fitar da shi. Yawa don haka gashi nan Qur'ani ga Bible za mu kewaye, za mu yanka, Ubangiji Allah munafiki Ubangiji Allah ya shirya ya tsakani ko a cikin mu ne mai fita. In dai gefen ba Allah ya tona masa asiri. Yawa ku kewaye mutane mu ina ke. Yawa ku kewaye a tana.
The villagers have been persuaded to hand their motorcycles over to the hunters for the mission. The plan is for the hunters to chase Boko Haram fighters out of the villages from where these refugees fled. Two wheels is the easiest way to move around in the Sambisa forest. The hunters enter Boko Haram-held territory. Village after village has been deserted after relentless raids by Boko Haram. Boko Haram fighters are close by, so hunters divide up into groups of 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, 10. Akwai sojoji suna
in mun tafi fa ni na san banzan wajen nan fa mun tafi mun rabu ba inda ake jima mutane kullum kana ga masu mashinan da ba sa so su bayar nan kullum shi ya ga fa an tafi kwantan bauna ne nashi zai nema wanda suke baya yanzu ba wai fada face to face ya dangana da shi ba.
The hunters suspect Buluyaga has people inside the military who are helping him.
Sojoji da sidin duk suna guri daya. Ba sa nisa. Shanu yake bayarwa a bashi hartashe da bindigogi. Bindigogin nan yanzu mun karba wallahi tauna asiri da zai Allah kada ya sani. Bindigogin nan da ka gani na ba yanda zai Buluyaga bai da injin bindiga a wajensa.
The hunters are running out of fuel for their motorbikes, so they hesitate about whether or not to push deeper into the forest. Then suddenly the hunters hear what sounds like an engine running. A Boko Haram fighter is caught.
Na Buluyaga yake. Ta wani gefe ne Buluyaga yake? Ta abun wannan garin. A'a, jimana ba da tudu ba an gama ga mu ba kai muka zo ne ba mu daban wanda muka zo ne mu yanzu muna so ba mu tambaye ka ga mu ba za mu sake kai yanzu ka san jibul ba jibul ka san akwai an jibul ne an jibul ma yazo wannan ko Buluyaga yana can jibul ne
The hunters are sure they are Boko Haram fighters, but before handing them over to the military, the hunters want to question the three suspects about the Chibok girls who were kidnapped in 2014 from their school.
Matan Chibok wannan su suna abinan suna markas suna cewa mu ma ba mu san wajen su ba.
Ba ku taba zuwa markas din?
Wallahi ban taba zuwa ba.
A ina ne markas din?
Markas din yana Jibul.
Jibul ko? To shikenan.
Amma ta inda kuke yanzu akwai mata da yara?
Wajen ba? garin satar ne fa garin kawai garin satar gashi nan wajen tafki wajen kogin nan ne fa
ba inda ba mata
The hunters are not convinced that the 3 Boko Haram fighters are telling the truth, so they are separated and questioned again. This young man joined Boko Haram as an outlaw. He was wanted by the police for peddling drugs. And despite being a member of Boko Haram for the past 3 years, he is still addicted to alcohol and drugs.
Wato wuya ya saka ka bar sha. Ai gaskiya ne gaskiya faɗa ne. Babu ne ya saka gaba da. Amma ka samu yanzu zaka sha akwai wanda ya zo da giya. Zan sha mai kyau ma. A kawo maka? Allah kawo. Wani iri kake sha? Ko golda ne ko whisky ko sta ko abu ne ko argi ne. Duka kana sha? Har da irin na Korean nan? Kana sha? Inda akwai taramin da yanzu ka ba sha mata. A baka taramu? Zaka sha. Masu dan dama kuma tun da safe ma rabi ne wallahi na sha. Rabi ka sha? Rabi ne na sha wallahi tun da safe. Rabi sha wallahi. Yanzu bari a kawo mana.
The arrest of the 3 Boko Haram fighters is a victory for the hunters. Spontaneous celebrations break out among the refugees who sponsored the mission. It's the first time in years that anyone has come to their aid. At last, they see an end in sight to their long journey of displacement. Victories by the hunters on the battlefield in northeast Nigeria barely register in the capital Abuja. Nigeria's massive population and high unemployment mean Boko Haram have a constant supply of conscripts, just like the 3 rounded up by the hunters.
The cannon fodder, the people that we keep with the Nigerian forces, security and defense forces, keep meeting and pulverizing and annihilating. So they need those, they need the cannon fodder. But as far as the battle commanders are concerned, they're behind the lines. These are the pawns that go out and we keep killing, and they need a constant refreshing of supplies, as it were. So, and it is also on record, probably for every girl that Boko Haram has taken, and I'm going on record on this, for every girl that Boko Haram has taken, they have taken probably 50 boys, for every girl. But you know, we're in a society where the West wants to hear more about the girl child, education of the girl child, emancipation of the girl child, well-being of the girl child. Nobody talks about the boy child, who actually is suffering the brunt of this insurgency.
These brothers are some of the lucky few here to have survived the ravages of Boko Haram. These villagers have just returned to their farms deep inside the Sambisa forest with hunters protecting them. Dagu is known for its fertile soils, which is why the villagers were so desperate to return here for planting season. Joe Basaga has walked the long and harrowing road of a refugee for the past 4 years, moving from one camp to another with his young sons.
Sun zo sun kashe mana mutane sun fi 40 a ranar kasuwanmu. To kagan kowane mutane sun fi 40 rana daya a gari daya aka kashe, dole ne mu gudu. Da muka gudu mun bar dukiyarmu, yaranmu wa'ansu sun bata. Sai Boko Haram ya sake koma ya zo ya kashe mana mutane 5. To shine mun sake gudu, mun sake bar garin. Da mun sake bari mun koma Lasa, mun je mun zauna a camp for long 6 months. To ba mu ganin me gwamnati yake mana ba kuma ba wai abinci muna samu mu ci ba wai komai ba. To shine abin da ya sa mun sake koma. Mun ce to tunda ba wani abin da zamu zai ba gurin noma ba komai, shi mun sake koma kauyen mu zo mu dan samu gurin mu samu abinci ko za mu yi mu ba ma yaran mu su yi makaranta.
Hunters patrol the area around Dagu village day and night. These soils also offer rich pickings for the hunters. This route has medicinal properties proven to ease piles. And there's an abundance of bird life. The hunter's commander is set on replicating the natural harmony of things among the human population here too.
Ko babu komi ma da roƙo Allah yana gaba da komi ma. Shi yasa muke dagewa kuma Allah yana ba mu nasara kai. Mu ba cuta ya kawo mu ba jara ya kawo mu. Allah zai rubuta mana ladansa. Duk abin da muke da Allah zai rubuta mana ladansa. Dalilin ne kenan muke so mu yi abin da za mu yi din Allah ya taimake mu. Allah ya fidda mu kunya. Tunda ba mu zo cuta ba mu zo zalunci ba. Yawwa. Kasan da muka zo na daya addini mu daban da su. Ka gani ina sallah su ba sa sallah. In ba dan jara ba abin da zai kawo ni. Ba bambanci ba wani kabilanci. Duk mutumin da ya zo bai daya ya zo za mu tafi da shi. Inda ya nuna ba wani daban kuma sai mu kauce masa.
Now that Aisha is married, she's not among the group of hunters protecting Dagu village. But she makes frequent visits.
Ya gajiya, lafiya kala, alhamdulillah. Sannunku. Ya gajiya, ya kwana biyu, alhamdulillah.
Aisha has brought some much needed supplies of rice and other dried foods. As always, she is given the respect that comes with her title, Queen Hunter. The rains have transformed the Sambisa forest into a floral utopia. And right up until the Boko Haram takeover, antelopes, elephants and leopards roamed here. Today, the hunters are gathering some of the many plants that are used for their secret potions. Aisha has earned the respect of her fellow hunters, not only as a fierce fighter, but also as a medicine woman. Boko Haram fear her for this reason and believe she is a witch. Aisha learnt much of what she knows from her commander, an old friend of her late father. The security and religious harmony in Dagu lasted only 2 months. Boko Haram raided the village again, overpowering the hunters with automatic weapons. Bukar Jimeta was killed in the ambush, together with 2 other hunters, including 24-year-old Umar, who interpreted for this film. There's a sombre mood in Aisha's home. The killing of her commander has left Aisha without a spiritual father. She vows to avenge his death and is convinced it was Bulu Yaga who killed him.
Akwai yanda nake ji har yanzu yana gurin duk da ganin mu komandan mu Allah ya masa rasuwa mun san kaddara ne kwanansa ne ya kare ko yana kan gadonsa idan lokaci yayi dole zai tafi don haka rasuwansa ba zai sa mu sare ko mu ajiye makaman mu ba mu muna nan daren takam akan aikin mu yanzu ne ma za mu ƙara zage dantse za mu yi aiki fiye da wanda muka yi a baya in Allah ya yarda kuma Bula Yaga za mu kawo shi.
Without a leader, the hunters are left to fend for themselves back in the towns. They patrol markets now instead of the Sambisa forest. Suicide bombers can strike at any moment, scattering lives and livelihoods in their wake. But much of the hunters' time is taken up confronting petty criminals. Two men are suspected of pickpocketing people. There is growing concern among the elites of this region that hunters and vigilantes need to be monitored by the government.
Vigilante should be monitored properly. Who is going into the vigilante? Who has been registered? Where is he getting his gun? Has it been registered? Where does he keep the gun? Where does he sleep? If he is not on duty, where is he keeping his gun? You know, because there are rumors all over the place that people hire guns to go and commit all sorts of atrocities. You know, so all of these things have to be really taken seriously ahead of this major political era Nigerians are about to get into. If not, it's going to explode into something nasty.
This group of vigilantes is preparing to leave for a 2-week training course on citizenship and leadership run by the United Nations in the central city of Jos. The Nigerian government has given their blessing, but has failed to support the vigilantes financially.
In terms of sponsorship, really, we have a problem there. That government don't really assist vigilante group, more especially the one for this area, to fight insurgencies. So as we are citizens of Nigeria, because we like our country, so we sponsor ourselves, by ourselves, to fight insurgencies. We are going for that training, but no government assisted for it, even though we have requested the government to assist us, but we did not see that. So any member here is spending from his pocket to go and attend this seminar.
None of the hunters were invited to the numerous UN training courses for vigilantes, and the killing of their commander has created a leadership struggle. But Aisha has a much more pressing issue to deal with. She's on the way to see her doctor. Aisha is suffering from swelling in her legs. It's not an unusual complaint, though, for a woman in Aisha's condition. But to be on the safe side, Dr. Chagwa decides to examine her further. Aisha is 8 months pregnant. And judging from her child's heartbeat, everything seems fine with the miracle baby that she is carrying. Aisha's other symptoms suggest that she may be low in iron, so a blood test is needed. Unfamiliar with Western medical terms, Aisha retreats into her worries about preparing for the biggest change in her life so far, becoming a mother.
Jiya mun je asibiti, likita ya dudduba ni, ya yi gwaje-gwajensa, ya yi scanning, ya yi komai da komai. To ya ce min dai in Allah ya kai rai 31 ga watan uku nan, in Allah ya kai rai za a cire yaron. Wannan bangaren ne ita ta dauki nauyin za ta gabatar da komai a kai. Sannan na biyunsa kuma maganan jini ya kasa. shi ma duka ta ɗauki nauyi don akwai abubuwan da likitan ɗin ya ce in dinga ci to duka wannan ta sauke mana nauyinsa. Bayan shi kuma maganan kafa a kumbure shine likita ya ce shi ma ba zan zauna a guri ɗaya ba in dinga ɗora kafa na akan filo in zan kwanta kuma da safe in na tashi in dan zagaya kaɗan da yamma ma kuma in dan zagaya saboda kumburin nan ya dan sabe.
Abinda shawarar da zan bayar dai ka'idan da aka baki asibiti ki bi, abubuwan da ya kamata an gaya miki shine zaki gaya mini kuma dole in bi tsarin din kuma batu maganar kafa kuma an ce exercise dole ne in barki.
And such are the rules for women in this society. But Aisha doesn't restrict herself to the rules.
Lallai idan na zama uwa ayyukan za su zama da bambanci da na da. Saboda aikin renon yaro da aikin da nake yi ba zai taba haduwa ya zama ɗaya ba. Don yaro dai shi karami ne ba zai iya jejeji ya yi abun da nake yi ya jimre wahalan da nake jimrewa ba. Don haka dole ne ni din in hakura a matsayina na uwa in saurara sai yaro ya girma tukunna kafin nan in ɗora a inda na tsaya.